Hi, Mark Rogerson here. Want to have a look at today at some of the things you need to think about when obtaining finance. So that is, you're going to buy a business and you're going to get finance from a bank. These are the things that are likely that the bank's going to want you to jump through. Everyone talks about banks making you jump through hoops. These are some of the hoops you're going to need to jump through and satisfy to get that lend from the bank. This is probably in some sort of order. It's not an exhaustive list. It's a few dot points on a whiteboard. It's thought-provoking. But just some of the things to think about. The first one is the industry lens. So you go to the bank, I want to buy XYZ business. Are the banks going to put it through an industry filter? So is that an industry they lend to? Is it risky? Is it socially on the nose? Is it a green issue? Is the bank a green bank and they won't lend to your coal-fired power plant, for example? So that's some of the things. There'll be an industry lens that'll be put through to start with. And then the next two sort of link hand in hand, but the bank will want both. The bank used to just perhaps want one, but they'll now want both, and that's security and serviceability. So security means the bank, very unlikely, the bank won't lend you 100% on the value of the business. They'll lend you a percentage of the business, and that means you'll have to come up with the other difference in cash, or you'll have to give them some sort of security or equity outside of that immediate business structure. So banks could be willing to lend you 70%. That's usually correct when there's freehold property involved. But if there's not freehold property involved, likely to be 50% or less of the actual value of the business. So that's something to think about. If you want to buy a business, where's your security or equity going to come from? Second thing is serviceability. So a lot of people may have security, but if the business isn't showing serviceability, perhaps thought-provoking bubble, why would you buy it anyway if you can't service debt? But if the business doesn't show serviceability, then that's something to consider, and that's something the banks will look at. So they'll want to look at the cash flow to be able to fund the debt they're about to lend you, but then they'll also link that all to you. So you obviously become the most important person or the most important thing in this. So the banks will want security from you, they'll want serviceability for the business, but also for you as well. If you've got a job now and you're looking to buy a business and you've got a lot of other debt outside of the business you're looking to buy, then they'll want serviceability on the business you're buying and the debt they're lending, plus all of your other debt. So serviceability becomes a bigger, wider lens than just that particular business. So with you, they want to know you. Are you an existing customer to the bank? Do you have history in the business or the industry you're about to purchase? Are you the right person? You're experienced, etc., etc. They want to have some sort of comfort that you and your network is the right person to buy this business and that they're comfortable to lend. Obviously, you need to have a clean record in terms of lending and those sorts of activities, I guess. If you've been bankrupt before, it's probably going to be difficult. If you're a person that's been in jail before or something like that, once again, it's going to be hard to get those sorts of finance or a lend from a bank. So you become really important. And then the banks will get business specific. So you sort of go through this bigger scope and then you get business specific. So the banks will want to see financials, usually 3 years. They want to see profit and loss and some sort of trading history from an accountant that's prepared these documents. That's sort of the first thing. They'll probably want to order a valuation. Absolutely, if there's freehold involved, I do a valuation. But if there's not freehold involved, they still may want to do a valuation just on the business. They want to know about location. They want to know about your lease. If you aren't buying the freehold, that's usually quite important. And one of the things with the lease is they'll want to take a right of entry on the lease. So that means that the landlord, even though you've really got nothing to do with the landlord, you're buying the business off not the landlord. Most likely you're buying it off just a vendor who's also got a lease with the landlord. But if you're coming in to buy that business off the vendor, the bank will need to be work done with the landlord and the landlord's solicitors, and most likely the landlord's bank if that freehold property that you're occupying is under a loan. And that is what's called a right of entry document. So what happens is if your business was to fail, that the bank would have right of entry to come in and take the business over, and the landlord sort of approves that or accepts that. So there's quite a lot of bit to work there, especially when you've got a lease. And last but not least, and once again, not an exhaustive list, is the business plan. Banks want to see often a plan specific on that business. are what your future maintainable earnings are going to look like. Cash flow, profit and loss, etc. How you're going to operate the business, different markets you're going to go into, how you're going to maintain customers, suppliers, sales, staff, etc. So the plan becomes really important. Hope that's helped. Like I've said a couple of times, it's only a few dot points on a whiteboard, so it's not an exhaustive list, but I hope it's helped and happy to help any further. Thank you.